stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Daily Trudge, or the daily multiple. Yeah, it's just not working. Just not working. Yeah, Father's Day coming up. I thought maybe might be a good idea to talk about my experience being a father, growing up with men, etc., etc. Just kind of waiting a little bit to see, make sure that anybody that wants to show up does show up. So, summertime always brings the countdown. So we're not stuck inside. So, I thought people might be interested in this. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or what's going on, but like I was saying earlier, my number count has plummeted. So, who knows what it is? Who knows what it is? I'm listed a couple places. It might be from that. Maybe people can't find us. I don't know. I do not know. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and kind of get started. Welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. I'm your host. If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. And I'll kind of start to get into this. Probably best start from the beginning. I grew up in Utah till I was 9. For the most part, there was a man that helped raise me. It wasn't until I was about, I don't know. I know it was before my mom told me, but I had figured out that he wasn't my biological father. They had, I had an older brother, and I knew that he had a different dad. His grandparents used to come every summer and hang out with him. They did nothing with me, but they weren't my grandparents. I never really felt slighted or anything on that. I figured those were his grandparents. My brother deserved that. My mom had been hurt. That's actually where I got my last name from. My last name is actually from my brother's father. So I'm the first in the line of Millers from my generational. My last name rightfully should actually be Barlow. It's a British name, right? And I gotta start working on getting a new group of people here. But you might hear some clicking. I'm gonna use my fidget spinner here. You probably won't hear it though. I got a pretty good microphone. It's directional. I never felt much love from this man. I was describing how I knew my mom and we'll call him stepdad at the time, had 2 children of their own. My older brother Scott, he had brown hair, blue eyes. My younger brother and sister, blonde hair, blue eyes. And if you can't see me, I have brown hair and brown eyes. They took on some of his features, things like that. I look nothing like him. So I figured it out. My mom, she did tell me, and this is not to pick on my parents or anything like that. I'm just telling my experience with fatherhood. Um, my mom told me that, I didn't give you his name, Wendell. That Wendell wasn't my biological father, and we were on the way to the liquor store. This is just an alcoholic family. It's how it works, and my mom and I have gotten past this. Um, so do not think bad of my mother, okay? Because if you do, I'm gonna kick the shit out of you. Pick on my mother. She had everything that she could to protect me from this crazy fucking world. Um, but I just never really felt much love from this man. And as somebody who has a lot of empathy, um, he tried to buy his way with, love kind of equaled money, and I think eventually that would change. But I noticed that, and he had a lot of anger, a lot, a lot of anger. He was one of those where if dad was home and you had done something wrong, you were gonna get it. Um, I got beat often with a belt, and I gotta say I earned those. Sorry, my self esteem just fucking plummeted. So, um, I could sit here and cover instances and things like that, but I don't see the reason to. There wasn't much love there. Right. Um, he seemed more at the same time. I was not an easy I was not an easy kid to raise. So, hi Amber. I'm glad somebody showed up because I was actually going to end this abruptly shortly. Nobody was going to. So, I think people are getting more out on me. Either that or it's just Friday afternoon, and who knows. Um, but anyway, or maybe it's just a topic people don't want to hear about, which is okay too. It's going to help somebody somewhere. What it comes down to is there was later on in life I would find my biological father. Um, and rightfully so. My mom used to tell me because she knew he was an alcoholic. In fact, when she went to go tell him I was pregnant, he was in jail for breaking and entering and stealing guns. And I would ask things about him, and I wouldn't really get much of an answer except he's either because I didn't really ask questions until my mom got sober, because we didn't talk much about that stuff before until she got sober. And she would tell me, he's either drunk, dead, or in jail. But it was never maybe he got sober, which is what he did. He actually left jail, stayed sober. He died with 54 years of sobriety. All right. Was he a bad man? I have no idea. Through my ninth step, I did finally get in touch with him. And that's when I found out that he had been sober the whole time. He was a drug and alcohol counselor with the VA, for 20, 30 years. I don't remember how much. And he did die sober. Um, he was, I think, about 20 years older than my mom, and kind of on his last days. He's gone now. He is since he died. He was dying when I got in touch with him, and I always hoped that maybe one day I would find my biological father. And then I found out that I had three more sisters and a brother, and I made the mistake of thinking, oh, great, I finally found the family that I belong in. Because the family I grew up with, I didn't belong. But it turned out none of them wanted anything to do with me either. I didn't. I still do this. You know, I have 8 brothers and sisters. I have 4 sisters and 4 brothers. I don't talk to any of them. Even in that family, I became the black sheep. This man said he's like, I don't want you to come out visit me. I don't want to meet you. I don't want to. He was very clear on it. He just didn't really want anything to do with me. Right. My thoughts were, you know, hey, if you really were in the program, where was my ninth step? Where's my child support? The child support that I have to pay you know, because I was an absentee father. And because of that, I never really learned how to become a father myself. I didn't. In fact, I wasn't planning on having children. I didn't want to have kids. And I didn't want to have kids because I was afraid that I wouldn't be a very good father. It was my fear. Nobody ever took me aside and taught me how to do things. Hey Gary, good to see you. You know, that man didn't nobody taught me how to fix my bicycle. I did it all on my own. All my life I had been on my own. All my life. So even during sobriety when my son was born, I couldn't handle it. I don't know what it was. Then my daughter came along, and then the drinking started again, and I became very much an absentee father. I wasn't very good at it. To this day, I still don't know if I'm very good at being a father. Um, all my children are back in my life, and now I have two bonus children. I got two stepdaughters, right? And with Father's Day coming up on Sunday, we've never really celebrated Father's Day, and I do not put that on my kids. I mean, I wasn't there, and that's kind of what they're used to. They're not used to celebrating Father's Day with me, So it's not like I can really point a finger. You know, they're back in my life, and that's really all I care about. Yeah, partially true. Partially true. There's selfish things about me. I'm a human being, and I got feelings and you know stuff. So sometimes around this time, it's tough for me because I never really grew up celebrating fatherhood at all. You know, I wasn't even living in the house with everybody by the age of 14. I was removed from the house. I got emancipated at 17, right? Which means I divorced my parents. And there's a lot of situations where I could, here's one that I'm willing to talk about. I used to have to go to court every single month, talk to Commissioner Allen. Her and I were very close because I saw her every month. These were just checkups. You know, where are we at? What are we doing? Is Dion, achieving his goals? Things like that. And I went to court one time, and Commissioner Allen said, Dion, your last name is Miller, and you've been going by Bates this whole time. I just it never, and I didn't fill out the paperwork. I didn't fill out the paperwork. My parents did that. Okay. It's not like I did it. And she's like, so you need to start going by Miller. And I said, um, I would prefer that my last name be Bates because even at that point, I still wanted to show respect to the man who had raised me. I wanted to show at least a little bit of respect to him. And Commissioner Allen said, Dion, you are a ward of the state. So you can do that when you turn 18 if you want to. And I didn't know that my parents had given up their rights for me. That meant I was never going back home because the state was my home. That's what that meant. And so the next thing that I said was, okay, I guess it's time to get emancipated. And she's like, yep, you want to get emancipated? Yes, you can. You have the requirements. And that's when I decided to emancipate. And I did not emancipate from my parents. I emancipated the state of Colorado. Okay. Because my parents had already given up rights. So Amber's saying a few things here. Amber says, I moved out when I was 17, really didn't live at home much since I was like 14. Even as a kid, I was a latchkey kid. My parents aren't God. It was great. Aren't good or God. Not sure what you meant. So I'm going to go with God on that one. It was great when I realized that. I miss my dad. Father Days sucks dick without him. And Sean. At least my dad isn't dead yet. I was able to send him a little gift, and Isaac made him some. That's cool. Thank you for doing that. Showing a little respect, right? See, I think we don't really celebrate Father's Day like we do Mother's Day because people have had complications with their fathers. Fathers are usually the first one excommunicated from everything. Usually, father is not involved in a lot of the decisions when it comes to the children because, maybe people think we're too angry or things like that. Women usually get the custody of the child. In my case, I thought that was a much better idea than them being with me. I'll just say it. The kind of lifestyle I lived was not conducive to children. Even to this day, yeah, you know. Um, so I am glad to see that my son did not follow in my footsteps. I'm glad to see that my children did um, did not follow my path when it came to that. I'm glad that they learned from my mistakes. Right. Even to this day, I don't know how good of a father I am. I don't. You know. I'm certainly better than I was, so we can mark things up to progress. We could do that. Um, but and it's not like I haven't gotten cards and things like that. But it's just hard for me because when I think back and I see everybody else talking about Father's Day, see, it was one of those things where I just never got the chance to have one. There was one other person, and that is my mother's current husband. He's a cool dude. He tried to get close to me. We were really, really close in my early 20s. But when I went back out drinking, I kind of pushed him away, and we have not reestablished a relationship. But that man did try with me. He did. Right. So I want to sit here and say, you know, but he has no kids of his own. So to, get 4 bonus kids but he's done a real good job of being a stepdad. And he makes my mom happy. And that's all I really fucking cared about, honestly. You know, I'm just glad she wasn't with Wendell anymore. In fact, here's a little story. I was on pass one weekend, and I was hanging over at my friend Mike's house, and I get a phone call. Hey, Dion, can you come to the house? We got something we're going to have a family meeting. And this has been our one and only family meeting. My oldest brother will not have family meetings because of this family meeting. Right? I think I was 15, maybe 16. And so they sit us down and they start to tell us about how they're getting divorced or separated, going with the easy way. We're going to separate and see if we can't, console this or fix it. I already knew. And I'm going to tell you, I knew what was going on, and I'll tell you why. Because I've been going to AA meetings for a few years already, and I knew something. See, when I went to therapy and I went to these classes and all these other things that I was required to do because I was a ward of the state, I learned. See, my mom got sober and changed. Wendell, codependent to the fucking core, refused to change. That's why I broke up. Right? And they never really seemed like a. So they're going around, right? We're getting separated now. Now we're going to give everybody a chance to talk and share their feelings. And I'm tell you, even to this day, it irritates me because I was on pass. I had earned a pass. I didn't live at the house. What the fuck did I care? Just being honest. It's like, you couldn't have done this on a day when it wasn't my pass, but let's wait till Dion's on pass. You know, when my dog died, they didn't wait till I was on pass. They called me at the group home and said we had to put your dog to sleep. I'm like, you didn't even give me a chance to say goodbye. That's how I was treated. My own dog. That's why I don't own dogs to this day. Because they hurt me. It reminds me of that shit. So everybody's going around and crying, and I understand why they were crying. I wasn't. I just wanted out of there. And it came to me, and I've always been blunt. And I said, good. You two are miserable, and I don't even like you. Talking about Wendell, and I don't even like you. You two do not belong together. I think this is the smartest move you guys have ever made. Are we done? I'm going to go back to my friends now. I'm going back to my friend Mike's house. And I left. I care. Those are the things that I'm talking about. From that point on, that man and I would not have much of a relationship. And he always used to save his really, really mean stuff for when we were alone. Like if I'd be on pass and he had to be the one to drive me back. Oh, it just made him so mad that he had to drive me back. At one point, he's like, I could have bought 3 Porsches with the money that I've spent on you with insurance. And I said, well, good thing you have good insurance, huh? You didn't pay for it. Insurance paid for it. Fuck off. There was a lot of situations. Okay. But I was never taught how to be a good father. That man didn't really teach me anything except how to be angry, how to punch holes in the wall, how to be mean to your children. And he thought that he gave me money that it would show that to this day, I'll give you another example. It was, and I was in my very early 30s at this time, right? Actually, I might have been, I don't know. Yeah, I was about 30, 31. I had just gotten back to drinking. I think I've been drinking again for about a year, maybe 2 years, not sure. And he calls me up because while I was sober, yeah, no problem, blah, blah, blah. We all got together. I was invited, things like that. The family fell apart when they decided to tell my wife to leave me while I was in heart surgery. As it turns out, if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be here. I'd be fucking dead. Okay? God used my wife to intervene with my drinking. He had better things for me to do. So if they would have succeeded in that, it would have spelt my death sentence. Something to this day that they don't understand. And I put a cease and desist order on their asses. Oh, I was livid after I found out like 4 years later. Right. Which story was I telling? Oh, the birthday one. Hey, Dion, we're celebrating your sister-in-law's birthday, and your birthday all at once. You want to come join us? I'm like, yeah, I'll come join you. I get there. No. Nothing for me. See, his current wife does not like me. And his current wife doesn't like me because my old roommate used to date her daughter, and she didn't want it getting out that she used to be a dancer. I'm going to tell you something. I've never told anybody in the family, and nobody gives a fuck. I didn't care. I was like, oh, she was a dancer. So what? I that isn't something I'm going to, but for them and their reputation, right? So I get there, nothing. It makes me feel like a piece of crap. I got to put on a smile. I got to be nice. All I want to do is go fucking drink. And you could tell that he felt very, very, very guilty. And he slips me $100 bill when no one's looking. So not only is he trying to buy my love, but then he has to hide it. Then he has to hide it. And I couldn't do much more than that. This is how I've been treated all my life by the family, by by other men. I don't trust men. It takes me a long time to trust men over women, right? I would go on to repeat some of the same behavior, except without money. I was just absent. I was not around. Not something, you know, it's still a regret to this day. Okay? It doesn't control me like it used to, but it's still a regret. Yeah. A lot of things have changed for me over the last few months. My family is being repaired. Even my brothers and sisters are seeing something entirely new. And I had to do it. What I did is during Mother's Day, I brought all my kids up to my mom's house and all the grandkids. And instead of sitting around doing fake shit, I watched kids play. See, nobody had any time. And so they saw things in a different light. I had to kind of put it in their face, you know, so that they could see that things had changed, right? There's still certain things that go on between me and the family. Um, there'll be some relationships I'm certainly willing to repair, right? You know, does that make me a horrible father? Yeah, yes, it did. Okay. You thought I might say no. Oh, well, Dion, you have alcoholism and this and this and that. You're not a bad person. You're just a sick person trying to get well. No, those actions were bad. They were bad. Period. I'm not going to call them anything else because I don't want to repeat it. You know, now I've settled the past, so I get to do things like, hey, son, you remember when dad did this, this, and that? Yeah, don't repeat it. You're repeating it. Don't do it. Anger. He got my anger. He's been doing really fucking well with it since he moved in, and dad's not yelling and screaming or doing this and doing that like I was when I was drinking. I had to become a different example, right? But it's not always easy being a dad. You pretty much sacrifice everything. Not all of it, but you pretty much sacrifice everything. Whether it's laundry detergent, money, time, But the way I see it is since I was an absentee father and I was out partying and stuff, that maybe now it's Dion's turn to kind of take over the kids, even though they're adult children now, okay? And be a part of that and alleviate some of this emotional turmoil that my ex-wives are having to put up with, or we're having to. You know, there's certain generational curses that can be broken. Alcoholism is not one of them. It's not, you know. So, what do men work off of? If you talk to any man, any father, They work off of pretty much one thing: respect. It's respect. That is how we like to be shown love. Okay? I don't know very many dads that really care about the presents that they get, unless it's like handwritten by your grandchild or something, then that's kind of different. But like ties and lawnmowers and weed whackers and, you know, it's okay to give father those things. But if you give mom a vacuum, on Mother's Day, oh, well, that's a bad thing, right? Right. I'm also not your normal man. I share my feelings. I'm very transparent. I'm very straightforward. I know who I am. I do almost all the housework at the house. Okay? If you're going to buy anybody a new vacuum, it's got to be me. I'm the one that uses it. My wife is the main breadwinner. Well, if it was the opposite, then it'd be her job to do the housework. It's a combination of things. Even though Shan and I are a little old fashioned, a lot of people don't understand our relationship. I remember the first time we did Thanksgiving together. I went over to her mom's house, or we were somewhere, and they got mad because she served me. I didn't ask her to do it. She does it because she enjoys doing that. It is one of her ways to show me love. Hmm. People tend to think I don't work. Well, they just don't understand what I do. My wife gets a lot of flack for me. See this recurring theme? I've missed out on a lot because of who I am. I didn't mean to be an out of control child. I didn't mean to wet the bed till I was 11. I didn't mean to have a lazy eye. I didn't mean to have a speech impediment. I didn't really want all that bad attention. But when bad attention is all I got, guess what I got used to? Because bad attention is better than no attention at all. All right. So while we're out there celebrating our fathers this weekend, what a couple of things I do not want to hear. Happy Father's Day to everyone, including those mothers who were fathers. Stop it. That is the lowest. That is so disrespectful. It is very, very disrespectful. Quit combining Father's Day with everything else. No. What about all the fathers out there that had to be mothers? See, it works both ways. It works both ways. Okay? I'm not saying every father is a great father. I'm sure that Wendell is a great father to his other 4 children. He seems to be. But they're okay with money being love. Right? When he dies, they're all going to get a chunk of money. I ain't going to see nothing. I don't care. And what am I going to do? Kiss his butt so that I can have a chunk of money too? I don't work that way. I don't work that way. And who knows? He might leave something to me. I doubt it. I doubt I'll even be invited to the funeral. I was excommunicated because of who I am. Because I'm very, very different from the rest of them. So that's kind of my experience with fatherhood. It hasn't been the best, but I know it's getting better. You know, in the last few months, almost every single one of my kids have told me that they're proud of me, that I made changes. They want to be around me now. These are the good things in life, man. My grandchildren love me. Everybody else gets called these different names. My name is best grandpa in the whole world. Right. So keep in mind, while we're going through this, not everybody had a chance to meet their dad. Not everybody had a chance to be a part of their father's life. I didn't. My biological father wanted nothing to do with me, and he was very clear about it. It's his own business, man. It's not for me to interfere. So let's have a little respect this weekend. You don't even need to buy your dad anything. All you need to do is just tell him how much you love him and how much you appreciated everything that he sacrificed so you could have a good life. It's all he wants. A little recognition will go a long way with a man. Right? But you gaslight him, you cut him down while he's trying to share his feelings. He will never share his feelings with you again. I guarantee it. Yeah. Because it's just happened too many times. Then they got to build up trust and go through it again. And all right. All right. I'm going to wrap this up because I'm going to go to 3 p.m. So appreciate everybody hanging out. It's good to see you, Amber. Always good to see you. Looks like Gary was hanging out for a little bit. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do. Peace out and have a day.